community-based participation in conservation of mangrove forests in Kepulauan Sabe, Indonesia. And first, I'd like to share about little about this outline of this presentation. I'll begin with the introduction and then research objective, following with the study sites and then methodology. After then, I'll discuss little about result and discussion, and I'll end with the conclusion. And first, maybe all of us here has familiar about this kind of plant, mangroves. Mangroves are tree or shrub that grow in the coastline, mudflat and river banks that adapted to survive in the tidal area where the other kind of plants cannot grow. And mangrove is among of the rich of coastal ecosystem. They provide a range of sufficient products. This is some of the most important sufficient product given by the mangroves. First, as the coastal protection, and second, mangrove provide a range of forestry products like timber, wood, and the existence of mangrove forests also influence the coastal fisheries, because mangroves as the spawning or nursery ground for the many commercial fish and shellfish. And in 2006, the United Nations has give the valuation for the mangrove ecosystem with around 200,000 to 900,000 US dollar, is quite higher for the coalition for coral reef that has ranged with the only 100,000 to 600,000 US dollar per year. And this map shows the global distribution of mangrove. In this map show that Indonesia has the largest ecosystem of mangrove with the 19% of the mangrove worldwide. I got this from the FAO in 2005. Like any other ecosystem, mangrove also experience the decreasing rate. In Indonesia experienced the largest area of mangrove decrease around the world. It has 4.5 million hectares in 1980, decreased to 2.9 million hectares in 2004, with the decreasing rate with more than around 30% within 25 years. Some source this happened actually in some most important island in Indonesia, like Sumatra and Java. Some source of data give that more than 70% of mangrove in Sumatra and Java has lost since 1940 because of the conversion of aquaculture. Since after tsunami in ASEAN tsunami in 2004, many coastal countries like Bangladesh, India, including Indonesia, conduct the conservation effort of the mangrove, and local community as the local community that live adjacent to the mangrove ecosystem is the first line in the using of mangroves and conserve, protect, or even destruct of mangrove. So by that assumption, as the closest agent to mangrove, they must take higher responsibilities and must take higher participate in the conservation of mangrove. So we simply call this a community-based participation. And why the community participation is important? Like I said before, because the community is the closest agent that live in the rounds of mangrove forest, and the second is because the rehabilitation of mangrove needs at least 10 to 15 years to maintenance, and also because of the government limitation, especially related to the budget and human power. So especially for the developing countries like Indonesia. By that background and assumption, so we formulate objective of the research. First, how the community participation about the mangrove conservation in the studies allocation, and the second is to what extent communities support the government initiated protection regulation, and the third one to how the community participate in the mangrove conservation. And discuss about this about the study site location. This study was conducted in the Kolang Sabe. It's located in the westernmost part of Indonesia, in the Sumatra Island. In this around 16 kilometers of long beach, it has more than 9,000 of mangroves, with 70% of them are in the degrade. Actually, since 2005, the local government have initiated the mangrove protection regulation, mangrove conservation efforts, which emphasize the two kind of program. First, to rehabilitate the degraded area by replanting of mangrove, and the second by conserve the intact or remaining area. And for the methodology, we use the two kind of data. First, primary data we obtain from the distributed questionnaire to the respondent, and the secondary data obtained from the data published by the government. This research sample has 81 households constituting 20% of the population, and data and was analyzed with the qualitative descriptive analysis. And we go to the result and discussion. First, the primary question for this research about the respondent knowledge about the protected mangrove area. The result is majority of them know about the existence of mangrove forests in the area, and almost of the respondents, more than 98%, know about the prohibition of cut and harvesting mangrove wood in the area. But different research with the regulation of the conservation mangrove area, only half of the respondents know about this. It can be input to the government, can be more informative about mangrove regulations, a whole mangrove regulation in the area. And about the community perception about mangrove condition compared than 5 years ago, half of the respondent, almost half of the respondent, 43, assume that the mangrove conditions is worse compared than they were 5 years ago. It can, from that reason, we can assume that mangrove condition is better in the past, and communities are worried that existing environmental threats will continue if the problem does not properly addressed. Although there have been efforts to create better environmental protection by the local authorities by protection program and planting program, but respondents did not perceive this effort was sufficient to address environmental threats. And for perception, we give several statements to the respondents with to show their agreement level with the strongly agree that have 5 score, and strongly disagree with the 1 score. And we show this in this table that almost majority of respondents have the good perception about mangrove protection and mangrove benefit and services, and almost of the respondents strongly agree that mangrove in their area should be preserved. And about the support of the regulation, we want to know to what level the respondents support the government regulation to protect mangrove. This result is the majority of the respondents, almost all of the respondents support have the positive statement. They are support on restricting of mangrove cutting and harvest policy, and support on restricting conservation policy. Even though there are a small portion of the respondents did not support and not support at all, but majority, more than 80%, support this. Also support this kind of policy. It's related to the previous statement that only half of the respondents know that it's prohibition to convert mangrove area to any other purposes like convert to aquaculture ponds. And for action, we asked the respondents how many times they cut or harvest mangrove area within a year. Majority of them, 80%, admit that they never engage in cutting mangrove, but small portion of them, 70 to around almost 20%, mentioned they have cut mangrove but only use the small part of mangrove, not the main stem of mangrove. What we can conclude is that agreeing with the conservation statements, local communities show a high level of positive attitude toward mangrove conservation, and their statement translated into good practices in protection of mangrove. And we give the several options of the activity that related to the conservation of mangrove, from the highly active in replanted tree and maintenance to the highly passive by not cutting and controlling of the mangrove forest. More than half of the respondents admit that they involve actively to the replanted of mangrove tree, and only 3.7% involved in maintenance. Another around 30% actively participate by not cutting and controlling of mangrove around their backyards. And chi-square test we use to determine if socio-demographic characteristic of the respondents influence their participation, and the result is only occupation variable that significant different to the level of participation. And for the information that around 70% of the respondents are the fishermen. So fishermen are more actively involved in the conservation because the reason is the problem caused by the coastal ecosystem might be more detrimental to the livelihood of fishermen than of other job of occupants. And this is for the conclusion. First, the show findings that generally local community has a good perception about the mangrove function and services, and they also support the government support the government protection of mangrove regulation. So this kind of findings contradiction with the first assumption that the community is the main agent that destruct of mangrove, and by that reason, so the government should intensify the monetary program of the protected mangrove area to reduce the destruction of mangrove forests. And also government should formulate a policy that can encourage community to be more involved, including in monitoring and stewarding program activities of the protected area, not only involved in the replanting activities. And for the last one is need more extensive and broader research in the future. In this research only conduct in the core area of mangrove, where there are many other villages that located in the mangrove area. That's all of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.